the dog and I here in Franklin, and this boat here, the Cartella, was successfully refloated about 6 months ago. It's out of the water, but it's still been affected by the water. It's full of rot, it's full of rust, and it's not going to repair itself. The Cartella is a beloved vessel, but its current condition is becoming infamous and is beginning to outshape the original silhouette in the mind's eye of people of Tasmania about what the boat once was. People have a dream about restoring the Cartella, but maybe it's just a mirage on the horizon. You can see it, but you'll never be able to reach it. Perpetually ungraspable. Tasmania's last river steamer, the MV Cartella, took on water after something went wrong. Built in 1912, the former passenger ship had already been out of service and awaiting restoration for about a decade. Nothing had happened. Once she was underwater, she stayed there, partially submerged at her berth in Franklin, south of Hobart, for about 6 weeks, until 3 cranes were used to lift the Cartella while she was pumped dry and leaks temporarily sealed. But where to now? How do you solve a problem like Cartella? Allegedly there is a plan to fully restore it. Recently the boat was meant to be taken to Hunter's shipyard in Battery Point. This has not happened yet. But what if you didn't need to return her to working order? What if there were other solutions? Solutions that already exist on the other side of the world, outside of Tasmania. This big boat behind me here, the SS Great Britain, was a wreck, but it was saved under exceptional circumstances. It's also connected to Australia. SS Great Britain was designed by Islamabad Kingdom Brunel and built by the Great Western Steamship Company, launching in 1843. The revolutionary iron hull was more durable than previous wooden ships. Driven by a massive steam engine, the boat had a screw propeller instead of a paddle wheel. And for a decade, she was the largest vessel afloat in the world. Initially a transatlantic liner moving between the UK and the US and used by immigrants from 1852 to 1881 to move to Australia during the gold rush. 32 round trips, 15,000 people, the descendants of whom have been scattered across the continent. She was then used to carry troops to the Crimean War and the Indian Mutiny. In 1883, her engines were removed and she was used as a purely sailing ship, transporting coal. In 1886, she was damaged while rounding Cape Horn. Seeking shelter in the Falkland Islands, she was sold to be used as a storage hulk before being abandoned in Sparrow Cove. In 1970, there was an ambitious salvage operation. The rusted hull was refloated and put onto a pontoon and towed 8,000 miles back to Bristol, roughly the same Atlantic route that she'd once sailed. Arriving on 19th of July 1970, exactly 127 years after her launch. Today she sits in the same dry dock that she was launched from. Although she is no longer a working boat, she has function, a new function, as a tourist attraction and an education facility, and as a monument for all those interested in the heritage of human engineering. So the boat has been saved, but it can never be completely restored. It's just too far gone. This is as good as it's gonna get. So all of this is really for theatre. The boat now is a museum piece, and that's really all that it can and should be. During the 30-Year War, the Swedish king Gustavus Adolphus ordered a new flagship built for the navy. The Vasa began construction in the Stockholm shipyard under master shipbuilder Henrik Hybertsen. Ultimately, there were 64 bronze cannons across 2 gun decks, and it made it one of the most heavily armed ships of its time. The master builder, Henrik Hybertsen, had died 2 years earlier. In this leadership vacuum, errors emerged. On August 10th, 1628, a huge crowd in Stockholm's harbour emerged. The king himself was not actually present that day. He was in Prussia, leading the war front. As the ship sailed out of the harbour, a heavy breeze ran across the water. The top-heavy boat flipped and sank in front of everyone. Around 30 people were trapped and killed. In the following days, dramatic attempts to salvage the Vasa were made. It was impossible. The main mast remained sticking up out of the water. Much later, the mast was cut down to below the water level. And over time, people forgot that the wreck was there. In 1956, 3 centuries later, amateur archaeologist Anders Fransson located the boat. Amazingly well preserved. The oak wreck was sitting in the cold, brackish waters of the Baltic Sea. The low salinity of the water had prevented shipworm from destroying the wood. In a complex and internationally celebrated operation, the Vasa was raised from the depths of 100 feet, piece by piece. The hull was largely intact. The boat was then repaired in a very slow, very detailed and expensive process. The boat was sprayed in a wax-like, water-soluble polymer. When it hardened, it provided internal support, preventing the wood from shrinking and cracking. The Vasa wasn't repaired in a traditional sense. It was scientifically preserved through a decades-long process of chemical replacement. And it now sits in a purpose-built museum. Saving old boats is very difficult, which is why even the most important ones are usually not repaired. Instead, at best, they are remembered.